you were to explain for somebody that's never ever tried your wines about your style, what would you say?
I would say that we make classic wines with California flavor. When I mean classic, I mean wines that are true to the individual variety, true to the site, true to the vintage, reflective of all of those. But we don't make wine in France or Mallorca or Italy or anywhere else. We make wines in Napa Valley. So the sense of place comes through in what we do. And what makes Napa Valley so amazing is our ability, again, to express these wines varietally with richness, ripeness, with power, with elegance, with rusticity, with acid, all of these things that go together that only come from this very, very unique growing.
So tell me the background of Chateau Montelena.
Chateau Montelena was founded in 1882 by a gentleman named Alfred Tubbs. He was a state senator. And at the time, the California wine industry was just starting to bloom. And this was one of the landmark wineries in Napa Valley at the end of the 19th century. There was a hiatus even after Prohibition where we lost a whole generation of winemakers and the knowledge that went along with it. But there were a few families like the Mondavis who kept the spirit alive, especially through Napa Valley. And it really turned into the 1970s. It was 1972 when the rebirth of the American wine industry happened in earnest, especially here in Napa Valley. And Montelena was one of those wineries. So in 1972, the Barrett family, led by Jim Barrett, who was our founder, purchased this ghost winery, which had essentially been unused since Prohibition, and combined this with the vineyard, which had essentially been neglected, let's say, since Prohibition, put the two parcels back together, both the castle and the vineyard, and created what we have as Montelena today.
We're in a fantastic castle here that you were explaining about, but I guess you got lots of vineyards around here, and you got fantastic production facilities here, and the barrel rooms. Tell me about that.
So we're really fortunate to have one of the most incredible vineyards in all of Napa Valley, if not the world. And so we farm the contiguous 100 acres that are up here on the northern end of the Valley of Calistoga that reach all the way up on the hillside towards Mount St. Helena, which is the defining geographical element of the Napa Valley. And across all of those different soil types, we grow predominantly Cabernet with a little bit of Zinfandel and a few other Bordelaise varieties. And remember, we're still a very small family-owned winery, so these four walls are all we have. There's no satellite production areas. Everything still gets made here in the original 1882 footprint.
Tell me now, what do we have here on the table?
So we make 6 wines, and we have 5 of them here for you to taste today. So the first one on your left, this is our Sauvignon Blanc. Mm-hmm. So we grow this down in Oak Knoll in the same vineyard where we grow our Chardonnay. This is a beautiful, elegant, site-specific Sauv Blanc. Mm-hmm. This has body, it has texture, it has incredible aromatics. So when you smell it, you smell Napa Valley. This doesn't smell like New Zealand, this doesn't smell like Bordeaux. Mm-hmm. This is fresh, this is bright, and on the palate there's texture, there's body, there's barrel, all of the things. Mm-hmm. But if you notice, it's still very true to the variety. This is the 2023. This is a gorgeous wine. This vintage was a cool vintage in Napa Valley. And so the challenge for us, or maybe the opportunity for us, is how do we express that vintage? And a very classic, cool vintage like this, we focus on preserving the acid, preserving the brightness. You can taste there's a little bit of grapefruit in there. There's a little bit of some stone fruit, some peach in there too, a little bit of ripe apple. But there's also this beautiful, it's like this tutti fruity acid, and it's like lime oil and lemon oil on the finish, which is gorgeous. Our second wine, this is our 2022 Napa Valley Chardonnay. So this is the wine that put America on the map. In 1976, the Judgment of Paris, the forerunner to this Chardonnay, beat the great wines of Burgundy in a blind tasting. Most American wines are very barrel driven, they're very rich, they're buttery. There's no butter on this. Oh. Very little barrel. This is pure varietally beautiful Chardonnay. Mm. Again, it's lemon blossom. There's some peach, there's a little bit of strawberry on the nose. It's very perfumey. There's some lavender, there's some fresh cut flowers. A touch of toast from the new barrels, but not very much. Mm. Overall, there's some Asian pear and some really beautiful grassiness. Our third wine we have is Zinfandel. For Napa Valley, Zinfandel isn't incredibly popular, but it's an important part of who we are. So philosophically, we really believe in planting the right grape variety in the right place in your vineyard. And there's certain soils we have that have the potential to create world-class Zinfandel if there is such a thing. And again, a benefit of being family-owned is we can make decisions like this, where even though Zinfandel is not a very expensive wine, it can be really quite beautiful and quite elegant. This wine is predominantly Primitivo. You're probably aware that Primitivo and Zinfandel are the same variety. So that's where that really beautiful red fruit, a little bit of those herbal notes come through on the nose. A little bit of clove from the barrel on this, some black pepper, which is very emblematic of classic Zinfandel. That you probably recognize with all of our wines, bright, fresh acidity, beautiful, fine layered tannins on the red wine. We really try to focus on that. Tannins are there to help support and lift the mid palate. And if you notice, there's this beautiful breath that just kind of comes across your tongue, and it moves from red fruit to dark fruit, a little bit of mint, some more black pepper, a little bit of cherry tobacco. Our fourth wine is our Napa Valley Cabernet, and we make two Cabernets. It's actually the only variety where we make two separate bottlings from Napa Valley. And the reason is this first wine, our Napa Valley Cabernet, and we can taste these side by side, that might be fun. The wine on the left, your first wine, is really more of an AVA specific wine. So Napa Valley, it's 30 miles long, about 2 miles wide. It's a relatively small valley. But this wine is really meant to be a snapshot of the valley as a whole, but done through the lens of that classic structure and that long-term ageability. The wine on the right is our vineyard designate. So that specifically is our blocks off of this property. Now we grow the vast majority of the fruit for the Napa Valley Cabernet on this property, but we have specific blocks that are a little bit softer, a little bit more approachable, a little bit more jammy that we put into the Napa Cabernet, where the Estate Cabernet, our vineyard designate, is definitely more classically structured. So this is going to be more familiar for those folks who think about Napa Valley and want something that is, as I mentioned, a little bit more jammy, a little softer, maybe even be a little bit more hedonistically delicious when it's young. Whereas the Estate Cabernet, you could close your eyes and think this is a great Bordeaux. This is a great representation of where this wine is. You get all of the beautiful dark fruit you'd expect out of a ripe vintage in Napa Valley. But there it is, that bright, fresh acidity. That's what allows these wines to age so well. And in the meantime, you get the beautiful chalky minerality. You have these like firm, almost satiny tannins, and then they kind of turn sandy as you get towards the end. There's beautiful breadth. This property is really known for long length on their wines, and you can feel that on your tongue as it comes across. But if you notice the palate on both of these, it's incredibly dynamic. It isn't just one note. It isn't just dark fruit or raspberry or strawberry or coffee. All of these elements change over time. And whereas with the Napa Valley Cabernet, again, it's a little bit softer. A portion of that is due to the fact that we grow Merlot, specifically for this wine on the left.
If you look into the crystal ball then, into the future, what do you see for Chateau Montelena?
My job, our job, I should say, all of us here, is to build the next 50 years of Barrett stewardship. We just celebrated the 50th anniversary of the Barrett family owning Chateau Montelena in 2022, and our CEO, Bo Barrett, came to us and said, it's now our job to build the next 50 years. So what does that mean? That means we're finishing up the largest replant of our estate vineyard since Bo's father, Jim, planted it in 1972. So that will finish in the next 2 years. And then on top of that, we also recently finished the acquisition of a brand new vineyard for our Chardonnay program. It's our first vineyard acquisition since 1972. And all of a sudden now we have this new home that we get to develop to continue to improve the quality, the longevity, and to continue to be the beacon of American wine excellence. And so the benefit of having a wonderful family here that owns Chateau Montelena, who gives us the ownership, our own personal ownership in what we do, is that we have that very long-term perspective. So this is a family that is still investing in the future, investing in our vineyards, investing in our people, and investing in our wines. And we're still hungry.
If you were to give an advice to a young person that wants to become a winemaker like yourself, what would you say?
I would say start at the very bottom and work your way up. Let's say that this industry has so many individual facets, and the only way to learn them is by doing them. And there is no one path. and then holding yourself accountable to create the best thing you possibly can.